Bend and Scoop is brought to you by Harder Concepts, the best bars in North Dallas. Eat, drink, party harder.
I love Bend and Scoop, man.
You want to hear some music? You'd like that, wouldn't you? Well, today you're going to get all the music you want.
The request lines are now open. KGFJ Soul Radio.
Do it now, man.
Request lines are up.
It's open, man.
Got any Blue Oyster Cult?
No, I don't have any Blue Oyster Cult. I ate 34 pairs last time around. Where were you? I was that close to working at 7-Eleven, you know.
Pass the word along. Tell the men it's time to shoot the moon.
Shoot the moon!
Out there on the microphone. On the microphone.
Shoot the moon. Shoot the moon.
The attitude dictates that you don't care whether she comes, stays, lays, or prays. I mean, whatever happens, your toes are still tapping.
Hey, Strawberry! Oh, Strawberry. Hey, what's happening, man? How you doing? This is my friend.
Hey, how you doing, man?
What you looking at, man?
Oh, nothing. I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking at his neck, man.
Can you honestly tell me that you forgot the magnetism of Robin Zander or the charisma of Rick Nielsen?
That's kid stuff.
Kid stuff. Well, how about the tunes? I want you to want me. The Dream Police. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Build your muscles picking strawberries. You know, Bend and Scoop. Maybe I could get you a job with United Fruit. I got a buddy with United Fruit. Start with strawberries, you might work your way up to these goddamn bananas. When, boy, are you gonna get your act together?
We're creating a society of cell phone crazed, marijuana smoking zombies.
Coming to you not quite live from Lukewarm Tallboy Studios deep in the land of Gar, this is Bend and Scoop, the podcast featuring music, mirth, and minutia, focused on exposing artists you probably haven't heard, but should. I'm Bob, and I'll be your tour guide on this amazingly asymmetric auditory adventure as we journey to the center of your cochlea. Welcome to episode 55, the same number on the dial I grew up listening to AM Gold on back in the 70s, KTSA in San Antonio. I'll never forget that jingle. 55 KTSA. Bend and Scoop is brought to you by Harder Concepts, the best bars in North Dallas. Visit one of the 5 great Harder Concepts locations in DFW, which includes Scruffy Duffy's and Ringo's Pub, both at the shops at Legacy and Plano, Saintsbury Tavern at Austin Ranch and the Colony, the Mucky Duck at Addison Circle in Addison, and Addison Ice House at Vitruvian Park in Addison. All 5 Harder Concepts locations have great food, live music, an amazing beer and spirit selection, and a wait staff that's second to none. Whether you want to hang out with old friends or meet some new ones, there's no better place to get together and watch your favorite sports or hear some awesome tunes. Eat, drink, party harder. Joining us at the end of the show to play a round of Is That Your Vinyl Answer? In the Groovin' After Party will be our very special guests, Jon and Chris from the Listen Closely with Jon and Chris podcast. We spread the gospel of vinyl here at Bend and Scoop, so be sure to tell us all about your favorite neighborhood record store by posting to @BendScoop on Twitter or Instagram using the hashtag SpinMomandPop. Our record store of the week is a personal favorite of our special guest Chris, 1709 Records in Vancouver, Washington. You can follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at 1709 Records. Our first song is by a band from LA called The Reflectors. This is off their 2020 album First Impression. It's called Champagne.
Makes me wanna cry, and I
was a band called UVTV from their 2021 album Always Something that was super abound. Have you ever wanted to host a podcast? Well, all you have to do to join the mic hunt and host your very own episode of Assume the Juxtaposition is send me your topic idea to lukewarmtallboy@gmail.com. You can follow Assume the Juxtaposition on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at AssumeTJPod. Here's a band we've played once before several months back. They've got a new album coming out later this year. From Philadelphia, this is Second Grade, and the song is Super Glue.
You got no special of the day?
Liver and onions. Why don't you read the menu?
Maybe I'd rather talk to you. Has Philo Beddo been around?
You want to talk? Take a walk. You want to eat? Take a seat.
Hey, what are you laughing at, lard ass?
I'll tell you what. You turn around and walk out that door, and I'll forget what you said. And I won't tell everybody that you drink horse piss.
That was a song called 69th Road off the 2018 Buzzsaws album by Brower from New York City. How Many is a podcast where I get together with my friends Jesse, Junior, Gary, and Scott to debate a variety of pop culture topics, including movies, sports, TV, music, and more. You can follow How Many on Twitter at How Many Podcast and listen at howmanypodcast.com. Here's a band from Milwaukee called Midnight Reruns with a track from 2017's Spectator Sports. This one's called Scorpion.
W-O-A-I. Get it?
was a band from Athens, Georgia called Deep State, with one called Time Unrivaled, off their 2020 album The Path to Fast Oblivion. Plausible Deniability is a monthly podcast I co-host with my pal David Miller, which you can follow on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Pause Deny. We post new episodes on the first day of every month. Murray, Kentucky is hometown of this next band, Quail Bones, and this is off an EP they put out in 2013. This song's called The Long Hair of Death.
Now, why don't you just shut up and start passing out them tickets there?
Ain't got the heart. You've got enough trouble.
Now, wait a minute. You have to give us them tickets. You have to. I mean, didn't you see us? We're lawbreakers. I mean, we are totally despicable. We have earned them tickets.
Son, you are a walking violation of the laws of nature. But we don't enforce them laws.
Some of that kerosene, I'm gonna show you now what I really mean. And then you follow me around the park at night. And I remember about to hold your eye. You said, honey, give me just a day in town, because I wanna die with your hand in mine. Don't stop and don't you turn it around. Make me a promise now, I'll never forget. Just hold my hand until the very end. And I said, oh no, I don't want it to end. Not now, when it just began. Come on and give me just a little more time, because I wanna die with your hand in mine. Oh, hand in mine. I wanna die with your hand in mine.
Woodstock, New York, home of that festival. Yes, you remember it well. That was the Bobby Lees with Coin from their 2020 album Skin Suit. Campfire Songs is a podcast where I get together with my buddies Todd, Jim, and Tom to share and discuss songs with each other. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Songs Campfire and give us a listen for more great music. And don't forget to stick around for the end of the show, when we'll be joined in the Groovin' After Party by our special guests Jon and Chris from the Listen Closely with Jon and Chris podcast. This is a song from Andrew Cashin out of Austin from his 2019 album Back in Texas called Be Your Love.
Cause simple, reliable service. Now, JCPenney introduces MCS series components. So finely engineered and designed, so incredible in sound, MCS measures up to the greatest names in the business. For service, MCS goes the famous names one name better, JCPenney. MCS by JCPenney. We make sound pure and simple.
That was Human Beat, hailing from both Birmingham, Alabama and Chicago. Quite a commute there. From their 2019 self-titled album, that was a song called Punctual Punks. If you want to listen to all this great music without having to hear me ramble between songs, be sure to check out our Bend and Scoop Spotify playlist. If we played it and they have it, you can listen to it there. And if you enjoy listening to what we do here on Bend and Scoop, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you get your podcasts. And if you really enjoy what we do here at Bend and Scoop and would like to show your support, please feel free to drop a little something in our virtual tip jar at patreon.com/bendscoop. Scrambling to find fresh tracks every week for each new episode of Bend and Scoop sometimes turns me every which way but loose.
This squirrel's ripping on peanuts, ain't you, squirrel?
Can you imagine Clint Eastwood punching out a wise guy or laying out a bunch of guys who get out of line?
Well, of course I can.
Can you picture him falling hard for a sweet young thing who's got her eye on him?
Oh, sure, that's easy.
How about him fighting for money?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Can you see him allowing a woman to beat up on him?
Oh, now you're putting me on.
In my thoughts, you're always with me.
Well, what do you think of Clint Eastwood confiding his deepest, darkest secrets to an orangutan?
When it comes to sharing my feelings with a woman, my stomach just turns to royal gelatin.
Well, what do you think now?
Now you're really kidding me.
It's no joke. It's Eastwood like you've never seen him before. In a new film called
Every Which Way But Loose, you turn me. Every which way but loose. Inside the fire's burning me. In my mind, you just keep turning me.
There can't be too many guys driving around this valley with an ape.
Every which way but loose. Baby, there's no excuse.
Hey, you like to fight?
Oh, I used to. Better than anything. Well, almost to.
Inside the fire's burning me. In my mind, you just keep turning me.
Oh, stop that, you baboon. No respect, no privacy.
Every which way but loose.
Every which way you look, there's action, adventure, and fun. Clint Eastwood will turn you
every which way but loose.
Times New Roman, you know the type. Call me public enemy, but don't believe the hype. Hawkeye like the one in Star 80 wanna bait me. Hook, line, sinker, now your lady wanna date me. Give your girl a little wink, so you make a big stink. Shoulders got a chip, so you flip like a tiddlywink. Know what I think you might be Darwin's missing link. You're up and out of shape and the heat is on just like a shrinky dick. But I can take a hit, better than I can take a hit. Completely incompatible, though I'm a pussy and you're a dick. How can you hold a grudge when you can't even hold a job? Should've known butter, but you're not corn on the cob. I choose to use a song for a weapon, not a sword. Struck a chord. If I wanted to see stars, I watched the Academy Awards. Why I ran like flock of seagulls. Why make up like Mary Kay? You must have given up on Havelocks, cause now you're going to pay.
All in all, you're just another dick with no balls, 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 balls. All in all, you're just another dick with no balls, 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 balls.
Mama said talk this out and resolve. Don't wanna be an officer, give me a call when you evolve. Doggy paddle to the shallow end of the gene pool. Half with half finish high school. Give you a piece of my mind, but I know you want a slider. Hurt you like your women, like you like your shrimp, you like them batter. Wife beat her perfectly for Dina Barrel. Where's your brother Daryl? Where's your other brother Daryl? Giving me that macho man Randy Savage stare. Wanna snap it to a slim and break my legs, but do I care? No, sorry, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Commit your crime. I'll be glad to do your girlfriend. I'll be glad that you do time. Here's the deal, I cop a fee, you cop a plea, get the maximum. Now we both got records, but the difference is mine's platinum. Just make sure this yellow-bellied wimp will bring your son out there alone. When you're tricking and treating, your dick will be drinking on this drink, it's bone.
All in all, you're just another dick with no balls, 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 balls. All in all, you're just another dick with no balls, 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 balls.
people listen to people. So listen, people.
Welcome to the Groovin' After Party. Come on in and pour yourself a cold one.
Joining me now for our Groovin' After Party here on Bend and Scoop are Jon and Chris from the Listen Closely with Jon and Chris podcast. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
So tell everybody about Listen Closely.
Well, during the early days of the pandemic in 2020, I had an idea to create a podcast that would really focus on great albums over the course of the last 50 years, let's say, but also to not simply talk about the music that's on the album, but also the memories and the nostalgia associated with the album and with the songs that are on the album. So I quickly threw the podcast together, recorded the first episode myself, which was the Rolling Stones' Sticky Fingers, in my top 10 favorite albums of all time. And I realized after listening to the first episode that it was really just 40 minutes of me talking to myself, and I wasn't impressed with it at all. So I reached out to Chris, who's been one of my close, dear friends for close to 40 years. And I said, so what do you think? This is my idea for the podcast. I have this concept. Do you want to come on board? And Chris had actually suggested about a year or two prior, I think, that we do a podcast together. And it just sort of fell on deaf ears at the time. So Chris thankfully agreed, and Listen Closely with Jon and Chris was born.
So 40 years, that must be what, elementary school? How far back do y'all go?
Yeah, we met in second grade. We were 7 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of a funny story, actually. Jon was I had just started at a new school. I had transferred into this new school, and Jon was this skinny Italian kid with kind of a mini afro. And I remember it was recess, and I didn't really know anybody, but I was playing tag on the playground, and a bunch of people were chasing me. And I came upon this picnic bench with this skinny 7-year-old sitting there. And I was like, oh, you got to help me, man. And he goes, he says, step into my office, which is such not a 7-year-old thing to say, but it was the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Whereabouts were y'all from?
Connecticut. Fairfield, Connecticut was where this happened, which is about an hour and 10 minutes outside of Midtown Manhattan on a good day.
Okay. Well, I will say on the podcast, I really enjoy the choices that you guys make. For example, the most recent episode you did was on Holland by the Beach Boys, which is one of those albums that kind of garden variety casual listeners of the Beach Boys may not be very familiar with. So it's nice to really kind of drill down on that. I think you even mentioned early in the episode, Pet Sounds is kind of the one people think of by default, but you really wanted to pick something that was a little bit more interesting.
For sure. It's definitely not Fun, or I Get Around or any of the radio-friendly Beach Boys songs. And that's what I think we like about it, right, Chris? I mean, don't you think it was kind of the more obscure, avant-garde sounding stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun. We have episodes that are on some really big, well-known albums, but I think it's even more fun when you can dig into the stuff that's a little more obscure and, not just for the listeners, but for us. I mean, there was a ton I didn't know about the Beach Boys, kind of deeper catalog, and head down a rabbit hole as you start learning more and more.
Yeah. And the fact that really kind of coincided, as you mentioned on the episode, with, Brian Wilson's devolved mental state at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I can remember being a kid, seeing on the news, him being in the bedroom with, not leaving for months on end. And at that time, it didn't really process what was going on there. But, later on, when you get to be an adult, it's like, oh, well, he was having a breakdown.
Yeah. But I think that his mental state and his sort of reduced involvement on Holland is what makes it such an interesting and sometimes brilliant album, because what it forced the rest of the band to do, particularly Dennis and Carl, was to sort of step up and take the reins. So I think what you have here is an album which the end result is sort of a hodgepodge of different sounds, different styles, because of all the different creative influences that were going into the making of the record.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a an excellent choice. And I started with that one, knowing I was going to talk with you guys. I always try to get one of the more recent episodes, but that was a great one to dive into first for me. And I'm looking forward to going back through the back catalog, and definitely would encourage everybody to do the same as well.
Please do.
Yeah, for sure. So how often do you guys release?
We go every week. Yeah, it's usually comes out every week on Wednesday. Is usually when it premieres.
And you guys are Spotify exclusive, right?
We are at present, yes.
Yeah, that allowed us to, get around the copyright laws and stuff and be able to actually include the songs. When we were doing it before, we weren't able to include clips of the songs, and we felt that was really kind of essential if, particularly for some of the lesser known albums, to let people actually not just hear us, hear the sound of our voices, but actually hear the music.
Guys, let's learn a little bit more about your own personal musical journeys, and we'll play around with something we like to call, is that your vinyl answer? And we'll start with our first question. What's the first record you remember buying with your own money? John?
So the first one that I remember buying with my own money actually would have been in the mid 1980s. I'm going to say probably 1984 or 85 was the Go-Go's. It was their third and final studio album, which the name of it's escaping me right now. Talk Show. Thank you. Because I really loved the song Turn to You, which was kind of the secondary hit on the album. I think Head Over Heels was the big song.
Yep.
And as a 7-year-old, I thought Belinda Carlisle was just the most absolute beautiful woman alive. She still is. So that was my first one.
How about you, Chris?
I didn't start buying vinyl until the past 2 years.
What about just anything? CD, cassette?
Oh, the first cassette I bought was the soundtrack to Rocky IV. Which
Okay.
must have been 1985. And I think I actually broke the little tape player that I had because I would rewind so much playing Survivor's Burning Heart over and over again.
I thought Robbie Tepper, You're the Best Around, was your favorite track on that album.
Oh, no, Robert Tepper, the No Easy Way Out. Yeah.
No Easy Way Out. Right. I'm sorry. No Easy Way Out.
Yeah. That's a tremendous one, too. Yeah. Yeah, that was probably the first one.
Now, John, going back to the Go-Go's, did you happen to see that documentary that came out last year on them?
I did not. I missed it, but I heard it was outstanding, and I do want to see it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. And of course, they just now inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So those are really good first albums, especially for that era. You never can go wrong with just about anything. And that's back in the time when everybody listened to everything. There really wasn't the genre siloing there is now. It's like, it's amazing listening to some of the answers people have for some of this stuff. It's like, you got your hair metal on one side, and there's one guy's like, oh, Madonna's True Blue was the first one I bought. So you just never know what you're going to get. It's awesome. Now, do you guys, for each of the ones you mentioned, do you remember where you bought it, and do you still have it?
I have it somewhere, and I couldn't even tell you where it is. But I remember I did buy it. There was a sort of I don't know what you would call it. The name of the store was Ames. Chris, do you remember Ames when it was down in Westport, Connecticut?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
For a hot minute there. And I guess Ames would be out in this neck of the woods. Back in the 80s, Ames was sort of a precursor Target or Walmart. And I know for a fact that is where I bought a bunch of vinyl as a youngster.
How about you, Chris?
I think I probably got it at like the local Cowdoors, which was kind of like an Ames, like a budget department store kind of thing that had a little music section in the back. And I think that's where I would get tapes and Nintendo games and things when I was a kid.
Who do you own the most albums by, and which of theirs is your favorite? John?
Roxy Music. And they've always been my favorite across the board. When you say which of theirs is my favorite, now that's a difficult one. I'm going to say Avalon for the simple fact that was my first sort of introduction to rock. Yeah, it was the entry point. Yeah. Thank you. But Siren is a very close second. We did an episode on Siren this season of Listen Closely a couple months ago. And I'll tell you, Siren's really an incredible album. Flesh and Blood is in my top 3 as well. But to answer your question, Bob, it's Roxy Music for me, definitely.
And do you also have Brian Ferry solo material as well?
Chris actually has a habit of buying me a birthday gift all these years later, which reminds me that I forgot to get one for him this year. Sorry, Chris. But he bought me a couple of years ago. He bought me Brian Ferry, These Foolish Things on vinyl, which is terrific. That's Ferry's first solo album.
Excellent. Chris, how about you?
It's probably either Springsteen or Fleetwood Mac. I think I probably have more Fleetwood Mac. And I think, we did an episode on the Fleetwood Mac eponymous album, the White Album, and that one's great, but I think I'd still probably go with Rumors as my favorite. I know that's kind of the mainstream pick, but I think there's just too many hits on it to pass it up.
Yeah.
At least you didn't say Tango in the Night.
I have Tango in the Night, but that is not the best. Yeah.
Yeah. I usually expect people to say either Rumors or Tusk, but yeah, you got a lot of options there, really.
Yeah.
Is there a specific album either of you can think of that you've purchased more times over the years than any other?
I would say for me, it's a toss-up between the aforementioned Roxy Music Avalon, which I had on CD, but then I bought the remastered. I guess they did like a re-release probably in the late 90s. And then, of course, I would purchase it on vinyl. And then the other one is Silk Degrees by Boss Gags, which I think I have in every format imaginable. There's probably an 8-track somewhere floating around.
I think Lowdown is in my top 5 songs of all time. I love that record.
Oh, what a song. What a song.
It's amazing. I think I have, for me, it's probably, even though it's not my favorite Springsteen album, Born to Run. I think I have a couple LPs and I've got the CD. I may even have it on tape somewhere. Just sort of somehow acquired all of these all through the years.
Now, Chris, what is your favorite Springsteen album?
Well, I feel like this is one that a lot of people will frown upon, but I'm a big Town of Love guy.
That's a very underrated record.
I think it's great. I mean, it's basically he's foretelling the demise of his relationship at the time. And I just think start to finish, it's really well crafted. And, I think it gets overlooked because it does have a little bit of 80s cheese to it in parts, but I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to mention that the songwriting is impeccable, but it's maybe just the 80s sound is just a little bit more prevalent there. Yeah, that's a great one. I also love Darkness on the Edge of Town.
That's great.
Yeah. I've got a buddy who actually has a Springsteen podcast, and gotta hook you up with him. He's had Steve Van Zant's wife on a couple times and a few people.
Wow.
So
Great.
yeah, it's he's a huge Springsteen guy. I mean, it's just incredible. And the network of fans they have, and they're all interconnected, and the friends and the people he's met over the years in all these different locations. It's really cool.
Awesome.
Who's got the biggest vinyl collection, and what size is yours?
I'm going to say the biggest vinyl collection would probably be one of my two brothers. They are several years older than I am, so they really came of age in the 1980s, early to mid 80s, when it was before CDs were everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So wisely, they saved their vinyl. They've got anything and everything. Although I've amassed a decent vinyl collection, I would not say it's huge, but I'm going to say my collection's somewhere between 75 and 100 albums in vinyl.
How big would you say your brothers are?
I'm going to say 150, 200.
Very cool. Chris, what about you?
I would say it was probably my parents growing up. I mean, it wasn't huge. It was probably in the 125, 150 record area, especially because we had a neighbor who used to babysit me when I was little, who, when she moved out, gave them a bunch of her vinyl. So, I grew up listening to that. And what's cool is that I'm out on the West Coast now. My family's back on the East Coast, and they've been forever trying to get me to get a lot of crap out of the basement, which I have not done. But one of the things they've done is to get some of this vinyl out, because they don't listen to it anymore. My dad has started sending me records. So I've been getting a lot of their old stuff, everything from kind of yacht rock, like Orleans, to stuff from Queen and Michael Jackson. And I think there's some Beach Boys in there. And
did you get the Bread anthology yet?
I actually did. I had a feeling.
Did he send you the Orleans album where they're all shirtless on the cover?
Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah.
I think one of those guys became like a state senator or something in later years. It's crazy. What is your favorite mom and pop record shop, either currently or all time?
Of all time, there was a place in Bridgeport, Connecticut called Secret Sounds, which was around for probably about 20 years. And they finally closed up shop about 15 years ago. And they had vinyl, they had cassette, they had CD, they had a lot of imports. And then in the basement, they had all random posters, stuff that impossible to find because they were promotional materials from when albums were first released, be it in the 80s or 70s, whenever. So for me, that I have a sentimental spot for Secret Sounds. And I think the owner has resurrected the store in Athens, Georgia now, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Chris, what about you?
I'm out on the West Coast in a town called Vancouver, Washington. We're right across the river from Portland. So there's a ton of vinyl places out here. But my favorite is right in Vancouver here. It's called 1709 Records. It's run by a woman named Mickey and I believe her husband, and they do a great job. It's a small shop, but they have so much good stuff, and I would say probably 95% of the vinyl I own has come from there.
It's always great to find one, especially these days, that's still thriving and you can support, because a few of them didn't make it through the pandemic, but a lot of them are clinging on, and we've got to try and support those. We actually, every week, we'll do a record store of the week here on the podcast, so I'm definitely going to include them in this episode so that they can get some attention for sure.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. What's your all-time favorite cover song? John, what about yours?
Oh boy. I know I've mentioned the band a couple times already, but Roxy Music's cover of John Lennon's Jealous Guy, which they did as a tribute to him after he was assassinated in 1980, is just incredible. I actually think it's one of the few times where the cover outdoes the original. But if we want to mix things up a bit and refer to someone else, I've always had a soft spot for the Honey Drippers. It's Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, of course, in 1985 when they covered Sea of Love. I think that's just incredible and timeless.
Yeah, that's a great one. Chris, what about you?
I think I'd go with, and again, I'm going to lean on the same guy I've been going back to, but Springsteen's version of Trapped, which was originally a Jimmy Cliff song.
Yeah, the live version.
Yeah, I bought that CD, I think, with John. I think we were in high school probably, and just came upon that album, and it's incredible. I mean, I think a great cover, it has to kind of, really rework the song in a different way. And that one, the Jimmy Cliff version is great, but it's got this kind of upbeat, really flowing sound to it. And what Springsteen does with it, it turns into this, sort of brooding, angst-filled, explosive kind of song. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the hallmark of a great cover, is that you recognize the original, but it's reworked, so it's not just a rote version of it.
Yeah, it's not just a karaoke version,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, guys, how can folks follow the podcast and each of you on social media?
We are on Instagram at listenclosely.podcast.
And we're on Twitter at Podcast Closely.
We're wrapping up season 3. We're recording the final episodes of the 3rd season over the next few weeks. And then we have about 6 weeks or so, right, Chris, between that and when we'll start recording season 4. So maybe that gives us time to launch a Facebook page or maybe a MySpace page while we're at it.
Yeah. Do you guys pick your album titles out for the entire season in advance, or what's the process there?
John does most of that. He kind of picks them out. And I don't think I think if there was ever something I really didn't like, I might try to veto it. But usually we're kind of in sync as to what we like. So, I may throw him some ideas his way, but usually we do the whole thing before the season and then stick to it.
There's an ebb and flow to why the albums are done in the order that they are in the time of year, I think. We're in the midst of late spring, early summer, so that's why we recently did a Beach Boys episode. We have an episode coming up. Our next episode is actually going to be a retrospective of, it's a look back at the music of the summer of 2001. So you'll see that, but then obviously as we get to the fall and winter, I think we tackle some darker albums and some things that are a little more brooding and gloomy, right, Chris?
Yeah, exactly. We like to do things where, if there's a 20th or 30th or 50th anniversary of an album, we'll try to kind of pin it to that month.
Excellent. Well, folks, I enjoy it. I love it. I think you will too. Give them a shot. Listen closely with John and Chris on Spotify. Guys, thanks again so much for being on. Really appreciate it. Had a great chat with you. Look forward to hearing some new stuff from the next season as well.
Thanks so much for having us.
Really, thank you.
Don't worry about it, guys. It's all in the mix.
Bye-bye, lard-ass.
Bend and Scoop is a production of Lukewarm Tallboy Studios.
We will return tomorrow morning with the sun.
Good evening, and have a good life.